Welcome everyone to Benchwarmers Banter again. It is only me and Glendon. As you can see, the setup has changed a bit. We are doing a remote pod today because something massive has happened yesterday, and a lot of things we believe, we trusted, we wanted, it all fell through the cracks, and we thought, you know what, we have to talk about it even if we cannot be in the same room to record it. So we thought we can figure out a remote way of recording. So welcome, Glenn. Welcome back to the pod. You are actually, what do I mean by welcome back? You are part of the pod. So we've also come back after a long hiatus almost. What is cooking, Glenn? How was your?
Uh, on the personal front, Indigo was cooking. Like one way or another. I'm just glad I'm back home. It was a challenge, but
Yeah.
other than that, I was, because of the cancelled flight, I was watching the race from the bus, and fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't watch the end because, as I knew, like I think lap 50, I knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen. We lost signal. I'm like, it's fine. I just switched it off. I put the phone to the side, and I'm like, I'll look out the window. It's okay.
Oh Lord. So did you expect the race to turn out the way it would, or were you deep down already like, okay, it's Lando's race to lose?
I was, as much as I don't like him, I was impressed by how cool he was under pressure. Even when Charles was like hounding him, and somehow that Ferrari was fast, from where they got that pace, I don't know. But he was in DRS so many times. Charles
Yeah.
made him go defensive a couple of times on the second straight. But even with that, he didn't sound flustered at all. He was calm, he was cool. And only a little bit of waiver there was when they asked Oscar to speed up a little bit because
Yeah.
Charles was catching and he was in Oscar's dirty air.
Yeah.
But other than that, he was, it pains me to say this. I can't, like, Lando Norris is a world champion before Charles, but someone said, if you're world champion, there's no undeserving world champion. I agree.
Yeah.
It's not like someone has given him this championship, he has won it. So
Fair enough. So I'll want to go through it in the order of like sequence of events to where we got here also. And in the race, I want to talk about, in the weekend only, I want to talk about a bunch of things. First thing first is, were we really surprised from race one that Lando was the favorite? Because I was just rewatching the entire season's highlights because I'm working on some content for my own Instagram as well. And I realized the signs were always there that he was in the better car this season. He was the more experienced of Oscar and Lando between the two, and the fact that he it got highlighted after he won so many times, saying that Red Bull came hunting for him but he stuck to McLaren and all of that. So even if you call McLaren were favoring Lando card, it was the right thing for McLaren to do because you are backing a driver who stuck with you, right? So like I think the signs were always there, and what I felt made this championship exciting was the fact that we saw the human side of two drivers. One was Max and the other was Lando winning gives me hope that I can win in life. I don't have to be a machine. I don't have to be flawless. I can say stupid stuff on camera and apologize later, as long as I just keep coming back, don't give up and all. And Max losing a championship because of his anger management issues just makes me feel like, you know what, it's okay. You take it in the chin and you move on. You put a smile on your face and you say, you know what, we've done our best, even after, you own up your mistakes. I know Max has a very different way of owning it up, which is like, oh, you and your stupid grin on your face to the interviewer. But yeah, in the end of the day, he still owns it up. He's never said like I did the right thing. He knows that it was the wrong thing that he had done. So yeah, but now coming back to the question of where we all deep down knew that Lando had the best chance, right? It's only the second half of the season when the comeback of Max started. And it wasn't just the comeback, it was so many instances of McLaren being like
Self-sabotaging.
self-sabotaging with their dealing of the papaya rules, and the double disqualification didn't help, and the strategy blunder in Qatar didn't help, right? So we were kind of like living on borrowed time as Max fans to say, like, I know you're not a Max fan, but yeah, Max, in the sense, the title hopes of a challenge other than Lando, we were just holding on to it because there was a chance of McLaren fumbling, but again, they didn't when it mattered. What do you think?
Um, See, I'll tell you. First thing is, I think we should give McLaren credit for designing that car.
Yeah.
Last year, it was a three-way, like, in fact, there were four-way fight because we had Mercedes winning races, we had McLaren, we had Ferrari, Red Bull. I mean, Max was winning races. But see, when the season started, I was thinking we'll kind of continue in that vein. I was thinking it's going to be very close between the four manufacturers. And I thought this was the year that finally Ferrari would maybe take a step up and maybe be the dominant car, even if not fastest by a lot, but maybe have a tenth or 2/10 in our hand over like McLaren or something. But McLaren's engineering, and for so long that team was a joke because after 2008, at least Ferrari was fighting in 2017, 2018, 2012 we challenged. 2022 we had a good start. 2022, remember the start of these regulations?
The side pods.
Yeah, McLaren was the first race. They were 16th and 18th or something. It started horribly. So the turnaround that they have done in like 3 years is absolutely amazing. So I think Zach Brown gets a lot of hate for being this American cowboy accent guy that just comes and says some random thing. But he's properly turned that team around into a team that can actually battle with like Red Bull. That's the first thing. Second thing is, at the start, we were all expecting Lando. If it was between the McLarens, I was also favoring Lando. I thought he had more experience, more race space, more skill. But Oscar surprised us at the start. He was cool under pressure, and I don't know. I feel this was, and not I feel. I think a lot of people agree. He kind of lost this championship. He a little. I don't know what the pressure got to him, or it was just. People are also blaming Mark Webber. They say you need to pick your mentors carefully because being a world championship will not be able to guide his team to the world championship. I don't think that's fair. Mark Webber was a good racer, but it was. And then coming down to Lando versus Max. Lando, see, I don't think Lando has ever claimed that he's better than Max. He has had some.
What do you mean?
He's not being serious when he says any of that.
He called it luck.
See, when you have to play the PR game, you can't just imagine going and telling Max Verstappen, you're better than me.
You're right.
You've already lost.
Yeah, you've already lost if you admit that Max is a better driver than him. But didn't he also say, I am some days better than Max and some days Max is better than me?
I mean, see, I was also watching the highlights and I was seeing a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes. Like was it Australia or China where Max went wide? I think it was China. Your Max locked up and went wide, and then Oscar. No, it was Australia only. Max was in P2 and Oscar overtook him. That was a blunder from Max, which doesn't really happen. So on the day, they are humans after all, however machine-like they seem. But in the end, I think it was a combination of factors. I think I'm just consoling myself. I'm just trying to say it's okay.
I know. I think you're more. Wanted to see Lando lose category than Max win category. But in any case, the season, I think I have a lot to be thankful for because every race there were a couple of boring races, let's be honest, but those boring races in the overall scheme of things did something for the championship, right? For example, Qatar technically was a boring race because other than the strategy blunder, nothing else happened, but it meant a lot for us going into the championship finale, right? Same at like the last race, to be honest, was very boring. 20 cars finished without incident, right? But we had a lot of strategies that like kept us thinking. We were like, okay, we are in the Latifi territory now. Last 10 laps, all that. But one thing we'll have to say this season we've gotten rid of every bit of technology development that was the ground effect era, right? We are getting rid of the chassis, engines, DRS is going, tire sizes are changing, front wing, back wing is changing, the way you deploy energy is changing.
Back.
Sorry?
Active aero is coming back.
Active aero is coming back. You get to choose when you want to go from X mode and Z mode and whatnot. F duct on steroids, pretty much, right? And not just that. The reason why I'm happy that we're getting rid of all of this is, dude, I remember there is a Drive to Survive episode of Lewis focusing. It was an episode focused on Lewis, where Lewis has a fever and he finishes 0.5 seconds ahead of P2 in qualifying, and that is Valtteri Bottas, right? Gone are the days where P1 and P2 was a 0.3 second gap, 0.2 second. These were all like not even tens, like hundreds and thousands of a second, and 0.6 seconds behind you are out in Q1.
Yeah,
that is like you can't have Formula One this close, man. It'll go one way or the other. You will go completely bonkers in terms of like 1 week one person is leading and the other week other person is leading. But I do feel like McLaren have cooked up a really comfortable car which was really forgiving when you make errors versus everybody else, because Ferrari, I feel, is a fast car but extremely unforgiving when it comes to errors, right? Whereas Lando, I think, has never come out and said, see, there are days where he has said he has finished P3 in qualifying and said this is the best I could do. And there are places where he, remember, I think, which was the night race where he messed up last sector 3 and he still ended up P1.
Was it Singapore?
No, not Singapore. Very recent one. Yeah, Singapore was a recent one only. No, but Singapore, George was P1, right? Yeah, this is another race where, so basically my point is I felt like the McLaren car is a lot more forgiving when you make mistakes compared to Max. And I'll tell you another observation that I had. The two big races where Max's struggled in the second half of the season were the two sprint race weekends. One was the Brazil weekend and the other was the Qatar weekend, right? Qatar sprint also, because I believe when you have a good car, which you have managed the package really well, and technically McLaren didn't work on the car in the second half of the year, right? Minor updates, right? So your setups are very logical. You know this works, you know this setup, change this for this track and you should be sorted. Max was still developing that car because it was misbehaving throughout. So he's like, every track he's like, okay, I'm getting a lot of bouncing, I'm getting this, can we change this, can we change that? In a sprint weekend you don't get 3 free practices, right? And the second session itself is a parc fermé session, which is you can't touch the car after that. And I felt that 2 sprint races in the end, Max looked extremely uncomfortable. Right? Because P6 he qualified in the sprint and basically Yuki let him go by.
Yeah.
Right? He made one overtake and Yuki let him go by, if I'm not wrong. Because Yuki was P5. So Max finished P5, right? So that was a very difficult sprint for him. And the Brazil sprint was trash.
Yeah.
That weekend was horrible for Max.
But he had a good recovery post that.
Yeah.
I think, he was able to come back, and whatever the updates were, I think it took them some time to figure out where they were going wrong. But once they kind of got it right, even Yuki found some form in between a little bit over there.
When he realized that his job is under threat, man showed up, but at the wrong time.
while we're talking about Yuki, have you seen all the memes about if even Sergio liked something?
Yeah, perhaps I treated you
Harshly, he
harshly,
was
and
like, perhaps. I feel just this is not related to the championship, but I
yeah,
feel really bad for Yuki. We were
yeah,
all in that boat when we felt like it was supposed to be him and not Lawson.
yeah,
Then when he got the chance, I think we can feel disappointed in the results, but then I don't think it's 100% Yuki's fault.
yeah, yeah,
Initially, the updates were only coming from Max's car because
yeah,
they couldn't afford to do both,
yeah,
and it was a lot of things. But yeah,
yeah.
I'll be kind of sad to see Yuki go. I felt he was just kind of maturing as a racer.
The thing
He's
was, I'll tell you, in the end of the day, Red Bull's thought process, you might disagree with this and it might even be controversial, okay? Red Bull, in the end of the day, there is one very specific reason why they are in this sport. Red Bull is an energy drink company. They like to do stuff that is fast, that is scary. Basically, them being in F1 is the biggest marketing investment they can ever do, right? So, for marketing, you need faces like Danny Rick, who actually is pulling the weight along and in the racetrack and outside the track as a character, you bring in sponsorships. That's the only reason Danny Rick even got a second chance. Yuki was that person when he was in VCARB or
yeah.
Toro Rosso or what was AlphaTauri when it was called AlphaTauri, right? Yuki was the fun, bubbly, unhinged, swearing a lot kind of a person, right? He was Red Bull's marketing bet. But him maturing is the opposite of what Red Bull wanted. Why? Because look at Liam Lawson and Isak Hadjar pulling through the weight of all of Red Bull's marketing, right? I think in reality, business is a business, right? So Yuki was also there because of the Honda partnership and a Japanese driver.
Yeah, yeah.
So the partnership ending didn't serve Yuki well also. So there are too many reasons that was beyond
Saying
Yuki.
that, there was also this rumor that the reason Perez had that seat, even when he had that dip in form, was because of the sheer number of merchandise they would sell in Latin America. Just because
Yeah.
he was the only driver from that region. So yeah, that
Yeah.
probably makes
Yeah. Next thing I wanted to, in general, like touch upon was the Abu Dhabi race itself, right? What did you think of Max's qualifying performance?
uh, it's something that we kind of take for granted, but he's someone that is flawless in the moments that it counts the most.
Yeah.
And it was by no means like a cut and dry thing that he was going to be on pole. But he always just manages to do what he needs to do in that situation. He maximized his result.
Yeah.
He did what he could do. Even during the race, very uncharacteristic of him. He's checking with GP and asking how close is Charles? Is he anywhere to overtaking Lando? And I'm like, yeah. But do you think he's improved as a qualifying? Max has always been great.
Yeah.
But just in terms of pulling something out of the car, even when the car doesn't have it this year, I think we've kind of seen that step up from Max a little bit.
So I'll tell you, a lot of people have this criticism of Max, the so-called criticism of Max, saying, "Oh, you've had a really good car for so many seasons. That's why you have 4 championships. What will you do? Let us see how you perform when you're no longer in Red Bull or in a bad car," right? This season is an example of Max taking a bad car and making the most out of it, right? In no way am I saying, okay, it's still the Red Bull team, it's still the same people he is working with, but that car does not deserve that high of a place in the championship. Right? You cannot say 2 equal cars, one person has less than 50 points and the other person has 400.
There was a stat where Max would still be in second or third place in the championship if you removed Yuki's points, because Yuki had 20 points during the year or something.
Right? That's my thing, right? So I don't think people appreciate how much Max's influence has gone into developing the car to where it is. See, this is a guy who for chilling goes to a simulator and sets up things. And then when he's bored of that, goes to the Nürburgring and sets a world record and wins it the first time he officially enters. Right? This is a guy who lives and breathes, and he there is a podcast of him with Gabby in a Brazilian podcast show where he talks about how a lot of people get their starts in go-karting, but go-karting only teaches you driving basics. Formula One is very different and all. And nobody ever has spoken out in that way about the differences in driving styles and how cars are difficult to control and all. The thing is the fact that he can articulate it so well, right? It is an engineer's dream, right? I know on the radio he just says, no, there is a lot of bouncing, it is worse, it is well. But then I'm sure the reason Red Bull racing team is successful in developing a car so well is because in the end of the day it's the driver who tells the feedback about, okay, this, if you make this like this, I can go a little bit quicker, or I can brake early, or I can the car's rear is slipping and I'll have this done that time. See, in the end of the day, how well can a driver articulate how he feels inside the car matters a lot, right? I feel those are things that people don't talk about, especially this season. That car does not deserve to have 124 points or however many points Max has, 2 points less than a championship winner. That car did not deserve that position. I feel, again, it's not an opinion. It is a fact.
See, I've made this point earlier. I will say he was definitely, it was not, especially compared to say 23, 24 also was a bit of a struggle because the car was not as fast as he would have liked. It is not as bad as you're making it sound, where you're making it sound like the Ferrari. It was not the Ferrari, but it was definitely not, it was not cut and dry for him, for sure. It was not, and it just showed his class and the difference between a 4-time world champion versus the guys who are fighting to be a world champion, where he was almost flawless throughout the year.
I'll ask you a question, okay?
Yeah.
It is not as bad as the Ferrari you just mentioned, okay? Charles is in the top 5 in qualifying and Lewis is in P16, P17. Now, are you saying that Charles is a better driver than Lewis and the gap is actually that big? Or are you saying that the car is difficult and there is one person who has better experience with the car and he is trying to get the most of it?
The latter.
The latter, right? And why does that logic not apply to Red Bull?
It does. That is my point.
So, but then if that is your point, you can't say, no, it is not as bad as Ferrari.
But you're making it sound like a midfield car. See, I'll tell you what, and my thing is, I think this is going to happen next year, okay?
Yeah.
It's most probably going to be Red Bull is not going to have a fast car.
Yeah.
It happened when Seb was winning and then
Mercedes 2014 Mercedes started winning, yeah.
And when Lewis came in and he left the team, the next year he was out and into Ferrari.
Yeah.
So I just want to see how it is for Max, because till now in his career, from when he started winning, let's say 2020, he had a few good races. He was challenging Mercedes. From then on, the Red Bull has relatively been in the top 2 fastest cars or top 3 fastest. It's not gone beyond that. And then Max has made the difference. So let's see.
I think 2014 it was the 4th fastest, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like from Max's time, 2020 onwards, he's always had the car where it's been pretty decent.
Decent, yeah.
So now let's see when he, which I think is going to happen, where the Red Bull's not going to be. Adrian Newey he still had some input on this car because it was an evolution. Yeah. So next year, let's see when Lauren Macias actually turns out. I don't know if he's going to continue as team principal or they're going to announce someone else to come in.
I think Lauren has done enough to secure permanent role there, because see, in the end of the day, it's the same with Sauber and Ferrari, right? When Fred became the team principal, Sauber was the team where you test out your drivers. Like Charles Leclerc also got the same route, right? So sister Red Bull, he was the team principal in waiting pretty much, right, till Christian Horner. If ever had a reason to leave, and that happened. See, I agree with you. Next year will be very difficult for Max. The thing was, it happened both in the case of Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull, right? Like, see, when your development program starts in the beginning of a set of regulations and you step in the wrong direction, it gets very difficult to course correct because you've already planned the next 15 upgrades. It's already in motion. It is just taking time. You can't then change things as quickly as you would want to be. That's what happened with the no side pods concept for Mercedes, when everybody and every testing said yes, side pods work. Then eventually side pods came back, but not in that season. They stuck with it and they had the worst porpoising, right? Like where it was like heavy metal being played during the driving, right? And then Red Bull had Newey, good engineers, so they didn't suffer that season, right? Even when the new regulations came in, they still went on to win. Next year, the fact that we still don't have Honda, the fact that we don't have a chief car designer who has one. The other day I was when Newey was announced as the team principal, I had done the math. He has 14 constructors championships, sorry, 12 constructors championships and 14 drivers championships. 7 different drivers have become world champions in his car.
And this will be Max's first time not being in an Adrian Newey design. He was in Toro Rosso for a little while.
Yeah.
Beyond that, all his entire Red Bull career, it's been Adrian.
Yeah. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. See, I wouldn't feel bad. I wouldn't feel very dejected that Max doesn't have a great season if the car isn't good. But the reason for that is that I believe Max would still figure out a way to do his best because he's still in Red Bull. Let's see, the bigger challenge for him would be in a non-Red Bull team environment, because I do believe Max is very pampered in the team in a way where there is so much respect for him. He has built an aura around him. I know he's humble in a way where he carries himself that way, but I'm sure Red Bull did everything possible from like making sure that he stays and doesn't leave to Mercedes. Right? One of the biggest thing was firing Christian Horner was also because it was rumored that Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner don't get along well and all of that, right? So Red Bull have given him so much of attention and pampering. I don't know if any other team other than Toto will give him that much bow. So that is there. But coming back to like,
even if he's running around in 7th or 8th, there's one thing for sure, you know, that Ferrari will be right there with him. We'll be fighting him for that last point because we are not improving in these new regulations.
Now, I know we're still talking about Max and qualifying and the fact that he had 3 purple sectors with a Yuki toe, and without a toe, he beat I know track evolution is a real thing, but it doesn't evolve that much in one lap.
His reaction after he threw the neck brace. Yeah, you haven't seen that camera. So he went to, I think he went to Max's car or his car, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he just flipped. He pulled out the shoulder brace that they have. But he pulled that out and just threw it and then walked away because he felt that his final race, he compromises qualifying. But then what choice did he have?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the decision was announced much before, right? So that was one. And now speaking of the race, I have a couple of things that didn't sit right with me. Okay. Speaking of Yuki and his last race, the 2 investigations. Okay, a lot of people are see, the thing is, there is no way of coming across as like, see, we clearly have made a point through this podcast that we would have loved to see Max, right? The minute you make this point, people are going to just say, oh, you just didn't want Lando to win, that's why you're making this point. I believe Yuki did not deserve that penalty. Secondly, Lando should have been under investigation, and it should have FIA should have been a lot more stricter. I'll tell you two reasons why. The two reasons I believe the investigation happened was, one was Yuki was dangerous and erratic driving. Okay. Second was, yeah. Second was when Lando overtook them with all four wheels off the white lines. Now, the reason why I bring this up is like Yuki was breaking a toe. Rule says you can not change direction more than once while defending, right? And in the same rule book, two lines underneath, it says if you are trying to break a toe, it is fine. Okay, when is it something, when do you say you're pushing somebody else off the track? Is it It's when two cars are side by side and you push, and then this guy has to avoid crashing into you, he goes outside the track. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Yuki was entitled to shut the door on an inside line, and Lando should have gone on the outside to overtake or waited for his next opportunity. But Lando wasn't avoiding Yuki. He went outside and overtook. Right? So the two things. One is the breaking toe. Secondly, I don't think Lando was pushed, or in terms of the traditional definition of what being pushed off the track is, Lando was still behind Yuki. His front axle hasn't even touched the rear, right, to avoid. Which means it was a choice that Lando made and said, okay, I'm going to overtake him at this moment in this instance, and I will go off track to overtake. And the off track was also not the grass or gravel kind of an off track.
Yeah.
It had grip. So it just doesn't sit right with me technically. What do you think? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So you're saying this, the British broadcasting was losing it. They were like, they went straight, and I didn't feel so when he was backing him up during the swimming pool, the yacht section. They straight away went to, oh, this is borderline unsportsmanlike and things like that. And I'm like, why though? Like, it's such a common thing. It's been done 100 times where you leave your second driver out to try and win a race, forget winning a championship.
Yeah.
Yuki, I think what the deciding factor was, Yuki was trying to break the toe, but Lando didn't go with him for the entire thing. He tried to follow once to get the toe, and then he just stuck to the inside line.
Yeah.
And then Yuki probably realized that and cut back to the left.
Yeah.
And then that is when probably Lando went back and said, oh, it's dangerous driving, or that's what McLaren would have complained. And also played into the fact that who was driving? It was the guy who is not competing for the championship, and his teammate is leading the race. And who would stand to gain the most if there was even not even taking him out, but what if there was a puncture? What if he had to get a wing change? So I think context was what kind of mattered there for that penalty. Lando overtaking on the outside, they have been really strict about that this year. And we've seen harsher penalties for a lot lesser infringements. But again, I'm thinking of it the other way. Imagine if Lando had got, let's say, a 5-second time penalty. It actually would have made a difference. Charles was within 5 seconds of him at the end. Imagine losing the championship based on that. That would be another Michael Masi situation all over again. So I think they stuck to they did like a 60-40% and they took the 60% chance.
Tell me, if Lando had gotten the penalty, 5-second penalty, is there any way of not defending that penalty? How can you say it is harsh? Like, let me rephrase the question, right? It was black and white, all four tires off. So if you had given a 5-second penalty there, I'll tell you why the 5-second penalty also was, because he didn't give the position back and he made one more overtake after that. I understand he was hunting, he's in the title fight and all. So if he had given the position back and overtaken, that's perfectly fine. I don't think Lando even realized that he was under investigation, because they never told him that he was being investigated. Now, in case of a lot of things where, for example, Lewis's 10-second penalty in Mexico, right? the 10-second penalty was, whether it was harsh or not, that is the debate. But we knew that Lewis went outside and gained a advantage and never gave it back. It's the exact same scenario here. We have it in 4K, like HD, whatever, that all four wheels were off, and a car's width was there in a way. It's not Yuki pushing somebody completely off when they were right next to them. He was much behind. He has chosen to overtake. It wasn't an avoiding move, it was an aggressive move. Right? He was caught in 4K. So I don't see why anybody would have thought, 5-second penalty was too hard.
I think after discussing this, I'm going to go back and watch. I'm pretty sure someone will have the onboard replays.
Yeah.
Let's go
So
through it and let's like the throttle inputs and see steering angle.
yeah, I'll tell you what I also did. Okay, again, it is still like one day outside. Like, a lot of people still haven't come up with comments and all. People are still like, recovering from the hangover of the whole championship and all. But couple of videos of, I think there is a driving coach who explains stuff, right? He has explained it very clearly about, like, how breaking the toe rules, what does it say in the regulations, all of that. And then the comment section was just hate for him from Lando fans saying, oh, you are a Max fan, I've seen all your videos, you just seem to glaze Max, just like what happened to me, right? They just intentionally choose the videos where I talk nice about Max, right? And there is not a single logical argument that defended Lando. Yes, you can say, oh, you're a Max fan, you just wanted to see Max win. Yeah, fair, but that is not still proving me wrong.
Oh, they've just left it open to discussion.
The one thing about the race, I'll tell you, I know they are international journalists, and they pick and choose their topics where to write, and they leave very vague things. Okay, the race have 4 to 5 videos every race and through the weekend. Guess what? They had 0 videos after Mexico.
Oh, they didn't put anything.
They didn't put a single video. Go to their YouTube channel. They pick and choose the battles where they can defend their opinions. Okay, the fact that in Mexico of all races, the race didn't put out any YouTube videos explaining. See, they have a YouTube video on why Yuki lost his race seat. They put all of. Go to Mexico. There is not a single.
I mean, that is one thing that annoys me no end, is this unashamed British bias that they don't even seem to try and hide anymore. There is just so, because even yesterday during, I was like, when Yuki was slowing down, I get dangerous driving, I get weaving, but in that stadium section, it is a combination of slow corners. In what way is Yuki him slowing down is the most tactical thing, and it's not against the rules in any way. He's trying to defend his position. So how was that unsportsmanlike? It was just very.
It is in fact the most sportsmanlike thing that you can do to make sure, even when you have a tough weekend, you do your best for your teammate to win, things like that. I don't know. Perez did something even more brilliantly than Yuki ever even attempted or thought of doing. Perez took 8 seconds off. 8 seconds off Lewis by doing this defensive move.
So, I mean, the penalty is. I just feel it was too much on them. It was way easier. Like I said, they just looked at it like a pros and cons list. They probably made quickly, and they said giving Yuki the penalty is probably the easier move than penalizing. And if what I'm reading is it would have been a 10-second penalty for Lando, because overtaking off the track is. And
because even this guy did. Lewis got a 10-second. No,
he got a 10-second. So they couldn't give a 5-second. They had to give a 10-second, and that probably weighed it in even more, because if he had a big gap and if he was in P3, it wouldn't have mattered, and the title deciding.
You would have lost the title.
So I think in the end, F1 is it's a sport, but it is a sport unlike other sports. There is a lot of human influence in this. There's a lot of subjectivity.
There's a lot
That
of things that are yet to happen that can never have been imagined. For you haven't. It has to happen once for them to like. Oh, people can do
yeah,
this, so we have to now come up with a new rule for this. So you can't do this anymore. Yeah,
yeah.
dive bombing. I'm sure there is a rule coming in very soon for dive bombing and in the inside in turn one.
But yeah, I mean, as whatever you, I mean, the way it happened, and yeah, unfortunately for Yuki, he ended his last race with Red Bull also with a penalty
I,
and a horrible defensive maneuver. Like he
you,
had,
in all of this, what also doesn't sit right with me is the fact that okay, you didn't want to penalize Lando. Fine, I get it. Championship, like why last race of Yuki? Let him be.
and the way things are going, I don't think he will find a seat ever again. I doubt we'll see Yuki again. He'll
Uh,
probably open a Japanese restaurant that he wanted to open.
Yeah,
So,
man. Yeah. But again, let's move on from Yuki. I wanted to talk about Oscar because it was one of the slowest heartbreak of the year for us. Also, because we in the middle of the season had given up on Max. Let's be honest. The points gap was just too big, and we knew that we needed 3 or 4 miracles to happen for Max to have. And the fact that it happened, they were all miracles. Okay, but we were rooting for okay if McLaren's had to win the drivers' championship, we wanted Oscar.
yeah. I mean, he was probably the surprise package. I mean, we knew he had moves. We knew that if you give him a fast car, he can lead a race, he can win a race, he can put it on pole. But this year he kind of showed that he's and probably made McLaren and Zach Brown's life a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, they were thinking, okay, Lando's our guy, he's going to be our clear number one.
It was
And
Lando Norris's era, right? That's what wasn't
yeah,
that what
we're
Zach?
entering the Lando Norris era now. We've had Schumacher and Verstappen and now Lando.
Yeah,
And I can just all the jokes about bias and stuff like that, but
yeah,
it would have been so easy for them if he was 56, even if he was 25 points behind Lando
yeah,
or 30 points behind Lando at the beginning of the season. They would have put all their weight behind Lando, and they would have been team orders for sure. But the fact that Oscar was leading for like so much of the
season.
race, yeah, the season is testament to him. I'm sure there are rumors that he's probably going to look to get out of his contract if there's
Yeah.
something else coming up just because of the thing. But I don't know if the McLaren is fast for the next 2 years. Who's to say that he can't be champion?
Got it, got it. Also, now speaking of the like other drivers, I wanted to check any other standout drivers from the season.
Nico Hülkenberg.
Hülkenberg's first podium.
Yeah, I mean overall he's wasn't he in the top 10 in the driver standings? He was till two
Yeah,
races ago.
I think so. I think he's.
Confirm that before someone puts it in the comments. Like,
I mean, let them put no good
yeah.
engagement.
But yeah, he was. Oh no, he's not. He's 11th now. Poor guy.
Ayo, poor guy.
But yeah, I mean, really just a year where his experience shined through. He did so well for that team.
Yeah.
He put it in positions that probably we were not expecting. The Haas is not as bad. Sorry, the Haas. I'm saying the
Sauber. Steak.
Sauber. What are they becoming now? Audi.
Yeah.
They've already done. Did you see that they wasted no time? They've already done their media thing for like they revealed the mock car and all that. So he was one driver that stood out for me. Kimi, at the start, I was like, oh, this guy is not as good as they say that he is.
Yeah.
He is the real deal. He's definitely future world champion.
Yeah.
George is again someone I don't like, but George was good this year. He was like he still complains so much when there's nothing to complain about.
Okay. I want to remind you something. Okay. Speaking of George, I told you in the middle of the season in our podcast that Max is going to be that one person who will go from being hated the most to or being one of the most loved person. Have you seen that post? Have you seen that picture going around on Instagram where F1 Instagram account's broadcast channel has two updates. Max wins the race, Lando wins the championship, and the second highest voted emoji is the middle finger emoji on Lando Norris. I'll show you this. Okay? I'm telling you, and it is the inverse. Heart is the highest for Max, okay? The funniest thing is, I thought it will take 2-3 seasons for Max to become the most beloved.
It's also, I think, losing makes people empathize with you, because how do you like compare yourself or kind of find something in common with the
See, it's not losing, it's the underdog. It's the underdog story, right? Max was never ever looked at the underdog till he was 104 points behind. Everyone like, yes, downfall of Max, and then Max catching up. I'm like, yes, Max is catching up.
And his you see that video of him playing with Kelly's daughter, his stepdaughter.
Yes,
She
yes, yes.
comes, hugs him and
Yeah.
all that, and I'm like, oh, he has a heart.
Yeah,
It's not
it's good PR.
V8 engine pumping here. Like
It's
there
good
is,
PR by Max's PR team.
yeah, yeah.
I know. But then, to be honest, I think Max, I'll tell you, Max was always the same guy, okay? This year, we have seen so much of Max outside of his driving.
Just
We saw,
yeah.
and the thing is, we saw his team and we saw the good things, the charitable things that he does outside. Then Kelly became pregnant and they had a kid. It's just, we just got exposed to a lot more personal stuff of Max, his hobbies and what he does outside, and that's also racing. Till then, last year, he was just a ruthless racer kind of thing. And I would say the media is to blame here. But my prophecy came true much, much ahead of time. He has become beloved. The reason I brought this up is, this is prophecy number 2, which is 6 years down the line. 6 is a random number. George is also going to be one of those guys who was really hated in the beginning, but then I hope he doesn't have the career trajectory of Alonso, where he wins a couple of 1 or 2 championships and then never wins again, and he stays till like 40 years in the
I'm so scared for Charles right now, because I am pretty sure George has a more realistic chance right now of being world champion. He's still with
Mercedes, yeah.
It is just if you've seen that stat, I don't know. I'll come back to Charles. It was a bit off topic, but the driver with the most races, so he did 150 races with Ferrari, and he doesn't even have 10 wins. He's the only driver to do it. And I'm like, that looks so bad. It looks like it's his fault. And my guy has been driving his heart out, like calling his own strategy, doing whatever it takes, and just looking to.
I'm just happy that I don't have to see Hamilton ever again in this car. Because I'm sorry, man, like that Hamilton move was gassed up so much, but it's just one of the most biggest blunders that has ever happened. I know there are certain gaming references that I can give, but then it'll be very off topic. But yeah, it is one of those, like, moves that worked so well on paper, but it's absolute trash in execution. I also wanted to talk about Isak Hadjar. I think the fact that he got promoted, I think it's a well-deserved promotion, even though we felt like Yuki needed more time or he needed a better car. Isak Hadjar, I think in the Racing Bulls, showed a lot of promise. I think he was even if Isak Hadjar was Yuki's teammate, he would have done better than Yuki, I felt, because
I was watching a podcast and about how the internal team felt about Hadjar, and apparently, first thing is his speed, his overall just raw pace. The team itself was not expecting him to be that fast. They thought, excuse me, Yeah. So the team itself was not expecting to have that pace. They thought it will take him time to kind of get up to speed. And then even from his inputs, through the inputs he was giving to the engineers, the feedback, it was of someone who had, so they were comparing him to like a young Max when he had come in, where, he just understood the feel of the car. He understood what setup changes were needed. And for someone who didn't have 5-10 years of experience in F1, they were very impressed, and that was what kind of got Red Bull to pull the trigger and name him. And obviously Yuki underperforming, but very early on he was rated higher than Yuki. Just when he came to the team and started doing well, like immediately. So I just hope, because I like him as a driver. Even his interview the other day where he said 2021 he was so sad that Lewis lost. But he was confident to Red Bull. In 2020 he signed the contract, but he was still sitting there and he's like, there was no microphone in my room. I was just screaming at the TV saying, how did they rob Lewis? But I hope he's not pummeled out of that seat in 2 seasons.
So the Red Bull second driver curse has gone through the hybrid era and the ground effect era as well. So the curse exists even if the regulation changes. I just hope he is safe. I think Ollie Bearman is in succession for the replacement of Lewis, I'm guessing.
Ollie has been doing really well, by the way. He's kind of slipped under the radar. He has not had like, oh wow, like Kimi kind of.
P4 he had, no? I think Mexico was P4, right?
Yeah. But that was with a bit of luck and stuff.
Hey, he did an overtake on Max.
Yeah, I mean, he's been, see, it's very hard in the lower teams to kind of stand out, because most of the times you're fighting, if you make an amazing move, it's mostly for P13, P14.
P14, yeah.
But he's someone that Ferrari rates very highly. He came through because they had so many options to pick from. And the fact that they trusted an 18-year-old to just jump in when Carlos was unwell in 2024. And what was he, P6 or P7?
Yeah. He finished in points. He at one point he had more points in F1 than F2.
Yeah. So he's someone that should do well. I really hope Lewis doesn't sign off with a bad season next year. I hope he at least if he gets a win or something, and because out of all the people, Nico Rosberg was tweeting and giving interviews and saying, I don't want Lewis to retire during this mid-season. He needs to come back and show the world Lewis Hamilton before going away. And
I'll tell you, Lewis and Nico Rosberg are in love with each other, okay? They're just going through that friendship breakup thing. The makeup sex is going to happen very soon. I can't believe it in the podcast.
Yeah,
they love each other so much, okay? They're just like...
because the only driver to beat like prime Lewis in the same car, he's very underrated. But he had the pace.
Yeah, but anyways, we are a little over 60 minutes at least in my camera here. What are your wishes for the 2026 season?
See, I'll tell you how downbeat I am on any chances for Ferrari, okay? I don't even have them. I don't think right now we're not in that phase. Maybe 3-4 years down the line, we'll get a team together and maybe start building a good car. But right now, I'm just going to put Ferrari out of this conversation, okay? So I would like, if probably not, I don't want to head into like another thing of like one team winning. So maybe we can have, I would love, maybe George could win next year. I think I rate him a lot higher this season, and I think he's taken a few steps on his evolution. Probably next year we'll see a more evolved George. I would love if I see Alonso have like a good season, even if he's not necessarily winning, but just Alonso being in a competitive car makes so much of a difference to the racing.
Yeah,
he's just able to show all that skill and like 22 years of F1 just in him.
Yeah. And Aston was very competitive at one point in the ground effect era.
for 4 races. And then they missed one update, and then they were... And probably the last thing I would want is I would. So I'll tell you what. One thing which I would love to see over more than just a race is to have, even if it's for P14. Okay, I really don't care. But see Charles, Max, and George, and probably now even Lando, just go at it in similar machinery
Yeah.
because we've not been entertained that way this year.
Yeah.
We've had we've had good races, been very even, but it's usually been the guy who's on form for that weekend has gone and dominated and won.
Yeah.
And we've not had like wheel to wheel racing like we did in 2021 or the earlier seasons.
Yeah.
So because the few times when they got close, it's been amazing this year. So
You basically want the through goes Hamilton moment every race. Within a span of like three corners, you have like five cars. Like anybody could be overtaking anyone types.
yeah, that is.
Yeah,
What
but
about your wishes? What are you looking for?
my wish list is I I won't say I'm tired of seeing Max win, but I do want season very similar to 2022 where there is just chaos in terms of development of cars. There is like, yeah, because I felt this year the margin for error was just too thin, right? You should have good gaps between qualifying cars, man. Like 2/10 of the second between P1 P2 is also acceptable, not like 8 thousandths of a second between P1 and P2, right? That's just ridiculous, right? Like you are 6/10 off and you are out in Q1 is just horrible.
So you don't want the racing closer. You want it to be more
Yeah,
spaced out.
I want it to be more spaced out, dude. Like I'm telling you, because that's when I feel like uh, basically at this point what you're saying is all the cars have come close together and it is purely the drivers, but in reality that was not the case. It was all the drivers are trying their best, they are doing flawless performances, it's the cars and their technology and their development is holding back, because we know for a fact that the Ferrari is trash, we know for a fact that Red Bull was catching up, we know for a fact that the slower cars like Alpine was trash and all, but Alpine was still within 1 second in qualifying. You cannot have so basically you are saying we went through a season where Franco Colapinto has 0 points, but he was 1 second within P1.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
just
I get
doesn't
that.
make sense for me to say like the drivers are so good, the pack is so tight, and the cars are the reason why things aren't working.
But but that's always the case. You will have a great driver can pull out one or two wins.
Yeah, so
But
that's
that's
the thing, right? That's why what I mean by chaos, right? Let both the car and the driver be like, faulty. It's fine, right? That gives us more interesting race. Yeah, so that's about it from me. I'll tell you, wish list is just more spread out fields and more. See, I'm purely talking from qualifying side, right? Like, see, when the quali is spread out, it's fine. But in the race, everybody's on race pace. That's a very different story, right? You will still get the overtake. In qualifying, I'm just tired of seeing like 0.5 second gap and you're out in Q1, right? I just feel like it is so unfair because 0.5 seconds is what, zoop zoop, in a
yeah.
in a in a 2 kilometer, what, 5 kilometer track, or however long every kilometer, like it's in a 1 minute 30 second lap, right? Are you saying that zoop zoop is a difference between
Yeah.
going to P1 and getting knocked out in Q1?
Yeah. Let's see what we get with the new regulations. I'm excited and scared for the new cars. We
It's
will, but
okay.
I think we should probably dive into that in another episode.
Yeah, we will definitely, because I think we just need to be a little more equipped on all the updates that keep coming out. I'm sure there will be leaks, there will be people speculating, and next week we'll be back with all three. It won't be just an F1 podcast. It's just that yesterday we had the massive championship decision and like finale, and we thought we'll do an entire episode dedicated to F1. But any last words before we close?
I think you'll have to start watching some more football and cricket. Like you'll have to start following some other leagues or something because Formula Tamilin is going to have to think of a lot of things to say on the pod when it's not.
Yeah, I know. I'll be the silent guy with the microphone, and while you and Josh do all the talking about cricket. So yeah, but
But I think you owe something to this F1 season also because you were aiming for 5,000
oh,
and you 20x that. So
20x is like something else, man. You know what? I know we made a bet. I will not say what the outcome of the bet is. That the day I get recognized in public, I have come to a point where I have been recognized multiple times in public. Where, oh, dude, aren't you the guy who does that F1 content? I know it is a good. It's been a good season. I think next season will be crazy. We'll have a lot more fun. In the meantime, take care, everyone. Season is done, but the bench warmers are not done. Formula Tamilin is also not done. So we will come back to you on a weekly basis with more content to speak about, talk about. Um,
thank you for watching. We know this will get more views because Josh is not on it. There is some weird correlation between him not being there and the pod is doing better.
yeah.
Sorry, Josh. Don't uninvite me from the Christmas thing. But
All right then.
thank you so much for watching, guys. We will see
See
you
you
next
all.
week.
Peace.